Happy New Year to everybody, and hopefully your new year is starting off the right way. Doing some research on a lion. A lion is a pretty big fella. A lion is a pretty big fella. He's a beast. And doing some research on him, he's the king of the jungle. And when you look at a lion from a movie or television, they look small on a screen. They look, unless of course you have a huge screen, but they still look kind of small. But in the research, a lion stands between 6 to 10 feet tall, and they can weigh about 500 to 1,000 pounds, not counting the other features about them, their teeth and more. But they stand about 6 to 10 feet tall, between 6 to 10 feet, weigh about 500 to 1,000 pounds. A human being is no match for a lion, of course, unless you have the right weapon. If you have the right weapon, um, you can deal with them. But a human, man, woman is no match for them. The Bible describes our adversary, the devil, and as a roaring lion. And in First Peter, the believers are going through a lot. The world has changed for them, and they're going through a lot. There's a lot, and there's a lot of principles that Peter teaches in First Peter. He tells the believers to be sober, be vigilant, be sober, clear-minded. They're going through a lot, and you don't want your mind, your heart, your soul to get clouded. The Hebrew Christians, Jewish Christians, they're going through a lot in First Peter because the world have changed. But one of the key principles he's stressing, and I was doing some research on it and looking through it, and I did some years of research and then just looking at it again and thinking about it. The believers in Christ cannot allow their emotions to be unguarded, or your emotions, your affections can't be unguarded. Because remember, Satan is as a roaring lion. He's becoming more vicious because he knows that his time is getting short. He's becoming more vicious. And I read somewhere where God the Father is, loosening and lengthening the leash. So he's giving them more room on the planet. And then somewhere I read where he's going to give him his teeth back. But he's becoming more vicious, more ferocious as a roaring lion. A lion watches their prey. They watches their prey, their victim. But they can sniff out the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities of their prey. They have good noses too, excellent sense of smell. They can smell from miles away. Also, that's another thing about lions. They can smell excellent sense of smell. And you have to guard your emotions. You can't allow your emotions to be unguarded because the adversary can sniff out your unguarded emotions. That's why Peter said, be sober, clear-minded, vigilant, alert. Like Paul said, even when I'm weak, I'm strong. Because you have an adversary that could use your emotions, your affections to annihilate you. He can use your emotions to destroy us. He can use your emotions to destroy you and mine to destroy me. He can use our emotions to gulp us down, rend us into pieces. He can tear us apart just with our emotions. So if he sniffs out you have a weak emotion of any kind, he'll destroy you with it. And it's happening to Christians by the day. I mentioned in the video special news report for the year 2024 about the pastor in High Point, North Carolina. Yes, you could protect your wife, and you should, but that wasn't the situation to do it. And the adversary used his emotions to destroy him with. Now you love your credibility, your witness, your position, your reputation. Look at how the adversary have gulped you down. That was a better way to deal with that situation. Yes, that's your wife, and you're supposed to protect your wife. But there were other ways that he could have protected her without even putting a hand on that worker. It was at a McDonald's in High Point, North Carolina. And so many believers, emotions are unguarded, and the adversary is tearing them apart with it. He's tearing them apart with their emotions, with their heart. And as for us, we got to be clear-minded. You got to know what your emotions are. You got to know what you're feeling, and you got to guard it. Just like Paul said, even when I'm weak, I'm strong. Because there's an adversary as ferocious and vicious as a lion, waiting to gulp you up and gulp you down. So this year, whatever you do, don't allow your emotions to be unguarded, unprotected. Be awake, be aware, and be alert, because he's lurking, seeing who he can rend into pieces.